Good morning, everyone. Today I want to share with you a powerful truth that can change the entire trajectory of your life. A mindset shift that Jocko Willink himself lives by. Be valuable, not available. Too many people in this world confuse busyness with effectiveness, availability with importance. But the truth is, if you make yourself available for everything, you dilute your strength, your purpose, and your impact. The world doesn't reward those who scatter their energy everywhere. The world rewards those who build themselves into something rare, something strong, something valuable. Think about it. When you are always available, you're saying yes to everyone else's priorities and no to your own. You're giving away your time, your focus, your energy for free to anyone who demands it. But when you become valuable, when you sharpen your skills, discipline your body, discipline your mind, and hold your standards, suddenly the game changes. People don't just want your time, they want your presence, your wisdom, your strength, because they know it is rare. They know it is not easily given away. This is where discipline comes in. Jocko has always preached that discipline equals freedom, and part of that discipline is learning to say no. No to distractions, no to pointless conversations, no to things that don't build you into a stronger, sharper version of yourself. Because when you stop being constantly available, you create space for growth. You create the silence that builds clarity. You create the conditions where your value increases because you're investing in yourself instead of draining yourself. The truth is, people respect what they can't always access. Scarcity creates value. If your time, your mind, and your presence are always free, people take it for granted. But when you guard it, when you protect it, when you say my time is valuable, my energy is valuable, and I'm going to use it to build something powerful, then others will rise to meet your standard. And here's the deeper lesson. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. You don't have to justify why you don't pick up the phone every time it rings, or why you don't show up to every invitation. You're not avoiding life, you're investing in yourself so that when you do show up, you bring strength, you bring clarity, you bring results. Jocko Willink's message is not about cutting people off, it's about cutting off the weakness, the distraction, the noise, and becoming someone whose presence is powerful because it is intentional. Stop trying to be everywhere. Stop trying to please everyone. Stop being just available. Instead, build yourself into someone who brings value wherever you go. When you walk into the room, let people know you're not there to waste time. You're there to bring energy, leadership, discipline, and results. So ask yourself this morning, are you being available or are you being valuable? Are you scattering yourself everywhere, or are you consolidating your power into something undeniable? Because the truth is, life doesn't reward the ones who are always reachable, life rewards the ones who are unshakable. Be valuable, not available. Build yourself into the kind of person whose time is respected, whose discipline is admired, and whose presence changes the atmosphere. That's how you win, that's how you grow, and that's how you live a life of impact. Good. When we talk about the phrase be valuable, not available, we need to understand that this is more than just a catchy motivational line. It is a philosophy, a discipline, and a way of life that can completely transform the way you show up in the world. The first key point to this mindset is the recognition that your time, your energy, and your focus are the most valuable resources you have. They are not infinite, they are not replaceable, and once you give them away to meaningless things, you never get them back. Yet most people live as if their time is cheap, as if their attention can be stolen by anything or anyone that demands it, as if saying yes to everyone else's requests is somehow the path to significance. But the reality is the opposite. If you are always available, if you are constantly saying yes, you are training people to devalue your presence. You are telling the world, my time is not precious, my energy can be wasted, my focus is negotiable. And once you do that, you start living for other people's priorities instead of your own purpose. Jocko Willink teaches discipline, and discipline starts with ownership of your own life, ownership of your minutes, your hours, your days, ownership of what you give your focus to. When you take ownership, you start realizing that every yes you give away without thought is a no to yourself. Every time you allow someone to pull you away from your mission, you are betraying your mission. This is why being valuable requires you to build boundaries. It requires you to stand guard at the gates of your time and refuse to let just anyone walk in. Think about the leaders, the warriors, the champions, the men and women who changed history. They were not constantly available to every distraction that came their way. They were not glued to their phones. They were not responding to every meaningless message. They were not scattering their attention across hundreds of things. They were locked in. They were focused. They understood that availability is cheap, but value is priceless. And how did they create that value? They invested in themselves. They woke up early. They trained their minds and their bodies. They studied relentlessly. They put themselves through fire to sharpen their character and their discipline. They didn't waste their time being everywhere for everyone. They became valuable to everyone because they invested in themselves first. But here is the hard truth. Most people fear being unavailable. They fear missing out. They fear saying no. They fear disappointing others. But let me tell you something. You will never live up to your own potential if you're living to please everyone else. You will never unlock your true strength if you are constantly on call, constantly accessible, constantly available to everyone but yourself. The key is not to fear being unavailable, but to fear being average, to fear wasting your life on distractions, to fear the regret of looking back one day and realizing you spent your best energy being busy instead of being effective. Being valuable means you must prioritize growth over approval. It means you must choose discipline over distraction. It means you must embrace the fact that not everyone will understand your boundaries, not everyone will appreciate your focus, not everyone will support your mission, and that's okay. You are not here to be available to the world. You are here to bring value to the world. So how do you do that in practice? You start by getting clear on your mission. What are you here to build? What are you here to fight for? What are you here to contribute? Once you define your mission, every decision becomes simple. If it aligns with your mission, it gets your time. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That is discipline. That is focus. That is being valuable. Jocko Willink doesn't preach waking up at 4:30 in the morning just to brag about being early. He preaches it because when you wake up early, you reclaim your time. You put yourself in control before the world starts making demands of you. That morning discipline is a declaration. I am not here to be available to distractions. I am here to build myself into someone valuable. And that value shows up when you've invested in yourself consistently, when you've trained, when you've studied, when you've practiced, when you've sharpened your craft, so that when the world needs strength, leadership, and clarity, you are ready. Being valuable also means embracing solitude. There is power in stepping away from the noise, in being comfortable with silence, in being unavailable to constant chatter, so that you can actually hear your own thoughts and sharpen your vision. Most people run from solitude because they fear facing themselves, but warriors, leaders, and disciplined individuals run toward it because they know that is where strength is forged. Being valuable means you do not drown yourself in noise. You use silence as a weapon. It means you are not a slave to every notification, every request, every meaningless distraction. You are the master of your time, the commander of your energy, the leader of your own mission. And here's the paradox. When you stop trying to be everywhere, when you stop trying to be everything to everyone, when you stop scattering yourself across 1,000 distractions, you actually become more valuable to the people who matter. Because now when you show up, you bring focus, you bring clarity, you bring strength. Your words carry weight because they are backed by discipline. Your presence matters because it is rare, not common. People don't respect what is always available. They respect what is rare, what is valuable, what is costly. And that is exactly what you must become. Not just another person who is always there, always distracted, always spread thin, but a person whose time, whose presence, whose contribution is respected because you've built yourself into something worth respecting. This is not arrogance. This is not selfishness. This is strategy. This is discipline. This is the way of a warrior in a world full of distraction. Being valuable means you know your worth, and you refuse to give it away cheaply. It means you demand from yourself the highest standards, so that when you do show up for others, you bring something of real weight, real value, real impact. Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't need more people who are available. It needs more people who are valuable. It needs people who are strong, disciplined, focused, and unshakable. And the only way to become that is to guard your time, protect your energy, and relentlessly invest in yourself every single day. So today, as you move forward, remember this: your time is a weapon, your focus is a weapon, your energy is a weapon. Don't waste them by being endlessly available. Sharpen them by becoming endlessly valuable. And when you live this way, you'll find that you don't need to chase opportunities. Opportunities will come looking for you. You won't need to beg for respect. Your discipline will command it. You won't need to prove your worth. Your results will speak louder than any words. Be valuable, not available. That is the first key point. That is the foundation. That is the mindset shift that changes everything. Good. When we talk about the second key point of the mindset, be valuable, not available, we are really talking about mastery of self. The first key point taught us the importance of guarding our time, energy, and focus, so that we can stop scattering ourselves everywhere, and instead build real value within. But the second key point digs deeper. Being valuable means you must become irreplaceable by developing skills, discipline, and strength that set you apart from the crowd. Because here is the truth. If you are always available, you are seen as ordinary, and ordinary is replaceable. But when you become valuable, when you build mastery, when you invest in becoming excellent at what you do, you rise above the noise. People don't remember those who were always available. They remember those who brought something exceptional. They remember the warriors, the leaders, the people who raised the standard by their presence. That is what Jocko Willink preaches. Discipline is not just about controlling your time. It is about using your time to forge yourself into someone who cannot be ignored. Now, how do you do that? You focus on becoming uncommon among the common. Every single day you have a choice to do the minimum required, to skate by, to show up half-hearted, or to give everything you have to your craft, to your mission, to your growth.
Most people choose the minimum. They coast. They rely on availability rather than value. They think that just showing up, just answering every call, just being around is enough. But availability is not enough in this world. It's value that separates the strong from the weak, the leaders from the followers, the warriors from the spectators. If you want to be valuable, you must commit to mastery. You must develop skills so sharp that people cannot look away. You must train your body so that it carries strength, your mind so that it carries clarity, your character so that it carries integrity. When you walk into a room, your value should be undeniable, not because you were always available, but because you invested the hours when no one was watching. Think about the way Jocko Willink lived as a Navy SEAL commander. Do you think he was available for every little distraction? Do you think he scattered his time and focus on meaningless things? Absolutely not. He was training, planning, strategizing, sharpening himself and his men for battle. And that's why he became valuable. Because in the most intense, high-stakes situations, people could trust him to deliver. His value wasn't in being on call for every whim. His value was in being dependable, competent, strong, and decisive when it mattered most. That is what you must build in your own life. If you want to rise above mediocrity, you cannot live like everyone else. You cannot be glued to your phone, distracted by meaningless entertainment, or always saying yes to things that don't push you forward. You must live like a disciplined warrior, structured, focused, and relentless in your pursuit of excellence. Availability is easy. It costs nothing to say yes, to show up, to fill your time with busyness. Value, however, takes sacrifice. It means grinding when no one notices. It means studying long after others quit. It means waking up before the world is awake, and putting in the reps that no one else is willing to do. It means embracing pain, discomfort, and challenge because you know those are the fires that forge true strength. Most people choose availability because it's the path of least resistance. But if you want to change everything, if you want to be valuable, you must reject easy and embrace difficult. You must choose discipline over comfort. You must embrace the grind that no one claps for, because that grind is the foundation of your value. Another dimension of being valuable is understanding that your presence should elevate others. Value is not just about you being stronger, sharper, more disciplined. It's about the impact you have when you show up. When you walk into a room, people should feel more clarity, more focus, more strength simply because you are there. But that doesn't happen if you've been drained by constant availability. That only happens when you've built yourself up through discipline, through silence, through training. Leaders, warriors, and difference makers don't make an impact by being available 24/7. They make an impact because when they show up, they are ready, sharp, and strong. Your value must come from preparation, not presence. It must come from depth, not busyness. And here is the hard truth. Being valuable means people will not always have access to you. They may not always understand your boundaries. They may even criticize you for saying no. But that is the price of greatness. You cannot be valuable and endlessly available at the same time. If you try, you dilute yourself. You weaken your presence. You cheapen your worth. So you must accept that some people will be offended. Some will misunderstand. Some will even walk away. But in the long run, the people who matter, the people who respect discipline, the people who value strength, they will see your worth. They will recognize your value, and they will come to you, not because you were always available, but because when you did show up, you brought something they couldn't find anywhere else. Let me tell you something else. When you become valuable, opportunities chase you. People seek you out because your value is undeniable. Think of the great athletes, the great leaders, the great innovators. They are not always available to the world, but the world waits for them. The world seeks them out because their value is rare. That's what you must strive for. Not to be everywhere, not to be on call for everyone, but to be so valuable that your presence is demanded, respected, and remembered. And understand this, value is built in private, but revealed in public. The world only sees the results, but you know the hours, the discipline, the sacrifices that built those results. So while others waste their time being available, you must be in the trenches, sharpening your skills, growing stronger, preparing yourself. That's how you change everything. That's how you break free from mediocrity. That's how you become valuable. So that comes down to this. Build yourself into someone who cannot be ignored. Stop wasting your life on distractions and availability. Start investing your life into discipline, growth, and mastery. Stop chasing approval. Start building value. Stop saying yes to everyone else. Start saying yes to your mission. And when you do, the world will take notice. Not because you were always around, but because when you did show up, you were a force. Being valuable, not available, is the shift that separates the average from the extraordinary. The first key point is about protecting your time, your focus, your energy, about using that protected time to build mastery, strength, and undeniable value. Together, they form a mindset that changes everything. Because once you embrace this discipline, you stop living reactively and start living with intention. You stop being scattered and start being focused. You stop being replaceable and start being irreplaceable. And that right there is the difference between those who drift through life and those who dominate life. So ask yourself today, Are you wasting your time being available, or are you investing your time in becoming valuable? The answer to that question will define the course of your life. Be valuable, not available. That is the way. Good.